We're in the segment now where we're going to be doing some additional cooking, where we will be applying cooking methods that fall under the dry heat cooking methods. In this segment, we have to go through a process to produce our products. So we spoke a lot on mise en place, having everything in place, our equipment, our ingredients. And as we go along, you will see we have our mise en place. But now we're going into a stage where prioritizing is extremely important. From what I can do first to what I can do last, so that I end up with an end product that's hot, ready to eat, that it doesn't dry out by the time we're ready to eat it, and whatever other factors to ensure that our end product gets to the customer in its best state. So we must learn how to put together our mise en place and prioritize what our tasks would be. What is first, what is last, what is in the middle. Additional to food preparation is a matter of multitasking. Otherwise, you would call it dovetailing, meaning that I can't just cook a cake now and then later on come back to the chicken and then later on come back to the potato. We work in a time frame. For you, some of your practicals may be a 3-hour time frame. For others, it might be only 2 hours, depending on the tasks that you have. But in any kitchen, any food production, we always work to a time. And we have to get our food to our customer timely. Hot food to our customer. So how do we dovetail? How do we prioritize? How do we multitask? We identify those tasks that, let's say, we bake. So we did a cake. While the cake is in the oven, I can do other things. So when you have food dishes, when we have dishes that it's cooking and we can do something else, you prioritize to suit. So we're going to be doing roasting today. We're going to roast some chicken. We can roast our chicken using 2 techniques. The usual technique you would use is where you would take your meat and put it in the oven. It's already seasoned, etc. But I'm going to do it a little different for you today, a little flair to your roast chicken today. But always remember that when it comes to roasting, and especially when it comes to meat, it has to do with the use of an oven or any other convectional heat where fat is used to assist in the cooking process. So meats already carry their own fats. So whether you add fat to the meat or whether you choose to just put your meats into the oven, the meats will produce what we use in the industry, render its own fat. Fat is going to melt away. That fat becomes a part of the cooking process. And remember, dry heat cooking methods, we're looking at texture and color. So we get that lovely browning and that lovely flavor and the crunch texture coming into play. And that's because of the fats that's produced from the meats, or you can add to your meats. So always remember, roasting has to do with placing your item in an oven where fats is involved in the cooking process. We are also going to roast vegetables. So how do we roast our vegetables? We're going to add fat in order to attain the texture and color that we want to get to roast vegetables. You can indeed bake vegetables as well. But if you're going to bake vegetables, you will not add fat. As long as you add fat to those vegetables, we have gone to the dry heat cooking method of roasting. Don't worry, we'll show you how to do that. We are going to move into roasting chicken. My mise en place is already prepared. Season your chicken. However which way you want to season your chicken, it's up to you. We're in Barbados, so I am applying some good old Bajan seasoning. So our chicken is seasoned with Bajan seasoning, addition of some salt and pepper, and I also add some freshly squeezed lemon juice. Absolutely delicious with chicken. And this is all ready for us to roast. Also, as part of my mise en place, for the technique that I'm going to be using, I have some margarine. So this has salt in it that's going to add additional flavor. I have some cooking oil, my salt and my pepper. I have onion, garlic, This is my guy here, Scotch. And we also have another pepper that looks like our boy Scotch. But this is not Scotch pepper. This is actually flavor pepper. In Trinidad, our Caribbean brothers and sisters, but in Trinidad, they call this pimento. Absolutely delicious. So it has the flavor of Scotch pepper without the heat. So we're going to be incorporating that into our dish today. So we are going to actually brown our meat first. So I'm going to get some color. And this is another dry heat technique that we use in the industry where we want to add additional flavor to our roasted meats. And then we will put it in the oven to roast. Additional to my mise en place, I have spoons. These are tasting spoons. So if at any point during my cooking process, for the roasting of the meats, I will not be necessarily have to taste, but I do like to always have them with me on hand just in case I do. We do not double dip. They are important for ensuring food safety and hygiene. You are never to taste something and put it back in the food. So what we do encourage is that you use your spoons, but to save the environment and cost. What I do is I have another bowl that when I taste for once, I put it in that bowl. I taste for the second time, I put it in that bowl, and then these will be washed for me to use again. We are going to roast our chicken. But first we are going to add a bit of color, a little extra flavor and color. So we're going to brown our chicken first. So when we speak to browning, it is also a dry heat cooking technique, but it's not going to be fully cooked. It will continue to cook when we roast. So the roasting is the cooking method, the browning is the cooking technique that we're going to apply. So I'm going to use a combination of fats. I'm going to use a bit of oil. This is regular cooking oil in a nice hot pan, whether you choose to use a cast iron pan or any other pan. And why I'm using oil is because the oil can withstand heat much longer. So we want our pan to be nice and hot. How do we gauge how hot? We're going to start to see some smoke starting to rise from the pan. That's how hot we want it. Of course, not too much smoke, because then we'll be moving to causing a fire, yes? We don't want to get to that point. We just want high heat on our pan. See that? Beautiful. Now we are going to brown our meat. So just oil to start. Take your seasoned meat, skin down. So I have a lovely butchered quarter. You hear that? Skin side always down first. That's your presentation side. And that's our breast. Breast with the wing, a supreme of chicken. So when we're browning, the proteins that exist on our meat, the fat that's in the skin is going to start to render and it's going to start to brown. So we don't want to be moving it. Let the reaction take place and let that meat brown. As that meat is browning, I'm going to start to add my flavors. My flavored pepper, otherwise known as pimento, Scotch pepper, thyme, garlic. I'm just going to add a touch bit more oil. Remember, you control the heat. Onion. Now I'm going to turn. Look at that. Look at that beautiful color on our meat. So you know how good this is going to taste. So additional flavor is a little bit of butter. So our onion is caramelizing in there, our scotch pepper, our garlic, our herbs. Absolutely beautiful. And all I'm going to take it off the heat, baste our meat. And into the oven to roast. So look at that color. So the fat plays a part in the cooking process. You must understand that. The dry heat cooking allows you to attain your color and flavor and texture. So into the oven we go. Preparing vegetables, and we're going to make roast vegetables. So I have a lovely bouquet or medley of vegetables that we are going to roast today. We have bora beans, absolutely delicious. They are fantastic for any preparation, for stir fry, boiled, roasting, grilling, absolutely versatile. So we just want to remove the tips of our bora beans. So you're going to use your chef knife. Yep. Into your garbage bowl. And we want some nice bora beans for our roasted vegetables. So if you were stir frying them, we would make them smaller, but because I'm roasting them, I want the length of them to be beautiful in my roast vegetables. You see how the knife is doing the job? Beans. So on my mise en place, I have a tray. This is a full sheet pan lined with parchment paper. I've chosen to use parchment paper for easy cleanup, but we can still achieve some beautiful roasting using the parchment paper. Nothing sticks to this paper, okay? So we have our broccoli, and we want mostly the floret of the broccoli. We don't want a lot of the heavy stem, okay? So we will work on that. You can see that this broccoli was pre-cut. So in your preparations, you would use pre-prepared food. So this broccoli was already cut from in the supermarket. However, I am going to break it down even smaller for our roasted vegetables. So we don't want this discoloration. And because it's a small piece of broccoli, you can use your paring knife for that. We just want to move some of that discoloration. Have my handy scraper and my garbage bowl as always. So now we'll cut them into florets. So we want some nice shapes, shape on our floret, and we want this cut in half. Now for roasting, all of these vegetables are going in together. So to ensure that our vegetables will cook evenly, you want to make sure the sizes are correct according to the vegetable that you're doing. So broccoli cooks fairly quickly. So I can afford to go with this size broccoli, while our beans, the bora beans, will take a little bit longer. So this size should be good enough to cook in time with our broccoli. So I'm removing the florets and I just shape the stalk. Cut in half, and then your stock will just break. Oh no, can't forget this guy. Carrots, already peeled. All of my vegetables are washed, students. Always wash your vegetables. So we are going to do some diagonal rondelles on our carrots. So you want to make sure that your carrot is sitting safely on the board. If you find that it's not sitting safely on the board, what you can do is simply take your knife, just very securely, just form a base on it. Just very simply, because I really want to maintain the roundness of the carrot, okay? We're going to do some diagonal rondelles. So we're going to be cutting in a diagonal while maintaining its shape. Remember your stance. Remember you're going to be looking above. And we want consistency on the thickness of our carrots. So our carrots are more solid than our broccoli. So you will see that I have them a little bit thinner so that they will cook at the same time as the rest of our vegetables. And the knife is doing the job, students. One more time. Sweet peppers, we had done this already. The peppers I want in dice. So we did julienne in our last preparation. I'm going to show you how to make dice. We're going to do medium dice. So it's already elongated, and we're just going to simply put them into planks, even as possible. They're not perfect dice. So all we're looking for, students, is some consistency, yeah? So because our preparation is roasting, that's why we are dicing our peppers, because we want them to maintain their integrity, their color and whatnot. Butternut squash. So I've taken off the top of the squash. Then the squash has the bottom piece that has in the seeds that has been removed. I want to use the solid section of the squash, and I'm going to show you why. Because I want to get a little bit, you know, we people that love to cook, we kind of fancy. We like our food to look fancy. So we have this lovely cutter that's going to add some beautiful design to our squash. So I'm just going to show you how we use that. So we're going to cut our squash in half. You can see I have maintained the skin on the squash. The skin on the squash is edible and full of fiber. So again, roasting is a great technique to maintain nutrients as well in your vegetables, all right? Knife. So again, same stance as all your other knives. Claw. Isn't that pretty? That's so pretty. Yeah. Now I'm looking at my designs. Do I want them so big? Nah, I'm going to cut them into quarters. Lovely. Vegetables look pretty already. Eggplant, also known as aubergine, underutilized by us in Barbados. Many of our Caribbean brothers and sisters apply eggplant in their cooking, but it is highly nutritious and you should use it. In roasting our eggplant, we're going to use it straight. Sometimes though, we would soak eggplant in salt and water to remove some of the bitterness, but with the roasting technique, we'll be fine. So skin remains on, top is removed, bottom is removed, in half. And I want to get quarters just like my squash. Eggplant is a soft vegetable, so we need to make them a little bit thicker so that they will cook in time. Straight down the center. And of course our red onion. So I'm using a red onion versus a regular onion just because of color. And red onion is a little bit on the sweeter side of the onion family. And for our red onion, I want to actually get dice for my vegetables. So where we had achieved fine dice, I want to get medium dice. So as usual, we cut in half always, root, tip in half. Remove the skin. My onion has been washed already. And this time we're going to remove the root. So where before we had sliced really thin and to get our medium dice, we want to get our fine dice, we want to get a medium dice. So all we're going to do is literally we're going to cut, and I took off the root because I'm going to use just about the whole onion. And we're going to make our slices bigger so that we are achieving larger dice. And because our onion is already in layers, I am not going to slice through the onion. I'm simply now going to cut straight across. And when you take the onion, start to fall apart. There we have our onion. No. Is there a specific quantity you have to add of each vegetable? No. It's really up to you. I love onions. When onions caramelize, they get sweet. Absolutely delicious. So we're roasting. In they go. Now you will see I have them separate for now only because I want to gauge each vegetable, okay? Good. Garlic, already peeled, just remove the tip. And I like garlic, so I'm using 2 lovely large cloves of garlic. And for the garlic, because I'm roasting, I'm not going to dice them fine. I want integrity to the garlic, so I'm actually going to slice the garlic. So I'm leaving it whole. And you can see, students, that because I'm using a smaller vegetable, the heel is more active in the slicing versus the middle and the tip, all right? I have more control here than I do all the way down there, but that comes with comfort of the knife. Garlic. And then we have beets. We are going to remove the top, the bottom. I only want half of the beet. peel the beet. We're not keeping the skin on the beet. And I also going to quarter my beets just like the other vegetables. Keep consistency, okay? Oops. Good. So our vegetables are ready. Our vegetables are prepared. Now we're going to roast our vegetables. But we need to get some flavor in these beautiful medley of vegetables. So we have some dried Italian herbs. A combination of various herbs. It has in marjoram, thyme, basil or basil. Basil, tomato, tomato. Same thing. We're going to open it up using our poultry shears. So these are poultry shears, but they're fantastic, versatile tool to use for cutting anything in the kitchen. Please do not cut paper or cut whatever else outside of the kitchen, okay? Only for kitchen purposes. So some Italian herbs. Can you use fresh herbs? Absolutely you can. But the dry herbs have a wonderful intensity to them. Of course, the universal seasoning, salt and pepper. Pepper first. Oops. Of course, salt. And don't over salt your vegetables. You can always salt them again at the end if you find it needs a little more seasoning. You can't take out salt, you can add salt, okay? And then of course our fat. So remember, roasting, you must involve some fat. So we're going to use our olive oil, not extra virgin. Remember, extra virgin is close to its natural form. It doesn't have the capacity for heat, it will burn. This is just regular olive oil. And we're doing roast vegetables. Healthy, so we're going to use healthy oils. And now mix. If you were going to do this by hand, you need to wear gloves, okay? I just want to make sure all my vegetables are completely coated in the oil before we put them into the oven. Excellent. Evenly distributed on the pan. So you want all the vegetables touching the pan, just about. And we are now ready to go in the oven.